What a year! Oh my god.
I mean,
2012. IDW changes everything.
IDW starts listening.
Transmission is go. Underbase is live.
Hello and welcome to the Underbase, the Christmas show, if you will. I'm your host, King Grimlock, and I'm joined as ever by...
Lady Rick, Amy, still kind of... brought to you today by the cesspool that is the human race's prodigy here. Kids, they give me more stuff. I got another infection in my nose, and I'm just drugged up today.
So you're going to be even more off the wall than normal.
It's either that or I'll be the babbling fool in the corner going, it's good, I like it.
So we come to 125, we come to the death of Optimus Prime, we come to the turning point of the ongoing series, where from this, the ongoing series goes in two separate directions, one written by Mr. John Barber, one written by Mr. James Roberts. And, as is the ongoing, we have to have Mr. Andy Millman.
Yo guys, what's up?
But Mr. Andy Millman can't cope with both James Roberts and John Barber in the same month, so we had to bring someone in to take over one of the books, Mr. Chris McFeely.
What's up, John Barber? Respect.
So we got Team John and Team James going on now.
Yeah, it's like Andy couldn't just stand all the genuine awesome, so I just had to come in here and act as some kind of battery just at the side, just leeching off the excess and just taking over.
Wow, that's kind of dark.
I'd prefer you stop sucking on my juices. I want to keep my juices for myself.
Let's not go down this route.
Oh, it's getting dark pretty quick.
It's a little early. First minute.
Yeah, that's how Andy rolls. It's been a long day of shopping, dealing with people.
You can leave it there, mate, I think.
People. Who'd have them?
Oh, yeah. For any of us who work in the retail industry at the moment, just stab each and every one of them in the face.
I just need general rudeness on buses. Like, you offer a seat to an old person and a young person takes it instead.
Serious?
Yeah, wow. I was like, it's not. I was getting up for that person there.
And you didn't kick him in the face?
I didn't kick him in the face, but he got up and he moved eventually. Because I was like, come on, mate, this is for the old person. Did
you just sort of wave a hand and go, old person?
The old person kicks you in the face.
I did actually kind of look at the old person and say, no, this one's for you, come on.
Yeah, that one over there, the one that smells of whey.
I had an accident.
Yes, but for those that can't put two and two together of our listening audience, basically, Andy will be carrying on reviewing the ongoing with us following James's run, and Chris will be coming back on to review John Barber's run, basically because Chris was probably the man that really got John Barber the senior editor's gig anyway. So
I like to think it was a team effort by here at the Underbase. On Barber's praises every month, and then what do you know? He turns out he gets the senior editor job. I don't want to say we had anything to do with it, but checks in the post, I hope, John.
So before we start with the last issue of the ongoing, the first issue of the new ongoings, we should kick in with our geek highlight of the week. Andy, we'll come to you first. What have you got for us to make us all go to our computers and go, ooh?
Well, I don't know how new this is, but I found recently that the final two issues of Fear Agent are at least finally out to buy. And these are things that I thought Rick Remender would never get around to finishing. I was terrified that he was going to leave it on, issue 3 of 5 for the last series. And luckily enough, I've found issues 4 and 5, so I can finally finish Fear Agent, which I've been loving for a very long time now. So hopefully I'll be able to get them sometime in the future. And the only other thing I've been keeping up to date with was I read the first issue of Guardians of the Galaxy War of Kings, Book 1, and Hell. That's still keeping up to be a hella good book. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Excellent. Chris?
I read neither of those things.
Fear Agent's really good.
I do hear this. I hear this, and Remender is like rocking it lately as well. It's funny because he's writing Venom right now, and he's writing X-Force too, and his X-Force just keeps getting glowing reviews, and I'm just like, really? Is it 1993? Okay, whatever. I'm not actively knocking his work because it is getting like universal acclaim. It's just this really in X-Force, of all places. It's like I take a look at pretty much everything that passes under my nose as a retailer, but X-Force, I don't even give a second look to, and I'm like, maybe I should.
Is he the guy that started Uncanny X-Force when it restarted?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard the first book was okay, and it's
wasn't
got
him.
better from there.
Yeah,
wasn't him. Okay.
No, that was Craig and Kylan Yost.
Oh, okay.
Craig, yeah, Kylan Yost. Yeah, well, so, okay, my highlight, sticking with the comics, because as I do on this show, definitely, yeah, it's a stupidly good week of comics this week, actually, but the highlight's gotta go to Fantastic Four 601 this week. Johnny Storm came back in issue 600 last month, but in 601 this week, Johnny Storm is back! The Fantastic Four signal flaming through the sky to signify his return. Ben Grimm, I'm pretty sure, says it's clobbering time for the first time since the Human Torch died, and it's like he sees his buddies alive again, and it's a great scene where he's fighting a load of robots, okay? And the robots observe that his strength and will are increasing, believing that only moments from defeat, and they notice that his resolve is strengthening at the sight of the flaming four in the sky. And they look at him and say, recalculating time to defeat, recalculating. And one of the robots says to the other robot, report updated chronal information. And Ben just looks and goes, is that some kind of fancy robot way of asking what time it is? I can help you with that.
Awesome.
Yeah, that did it for me this week.
I bet you were shouting it out as you were reading it as well. If you were well into it, you're like...
Little bit.
Amy, what have you got for us?
Well, I haven't done a lot of reading because I haven't been feeling too wonderful, but I'm going to put out there... I've heard good things about Birds of Prey, which I believe eventually Gail Simone wrote. And I've been needing to sit down and read it, and so that is what I opened it up last night, and I looked at the first cover and read a page, but I didn't get very far, unfortunately. So that's going to be my comic highlight, is go check out Birds of Prey. I don't think the beginning of it was written by Gail Simone, and I don't have it open right now in front of me, so... but yeah, I'd like to read the whole run, and so that's what I'm getting into. That'll be my next project. So, yeah. Yay.
Excellent. Well, I finally, a couple of weeks ago, polished off Blackest Night and got through to the end of that. Yeah, finally. Great. And
is it worth it, Matt?
Is pretty good overall.
Absolutely not worth it.
Okay.
I don't think it was quite worth the amount of effort you put into it, but the 8 issues of Blackest Night are, pretty decent overall and worth a read.
Yeah.
It suffered from the typical comic syndrome of everything finishing off a little too quickly. We had great build-up to the midpoint, and at the midpoint it's like, and then nothing really happens, it just carries on doing the same thing, and then 3 issues, one Green Lantern, one Green Lantern Corps, and one Blackest Night finish everything. It's like, oh, well, crap. Okay.
Blackest Night is alright overall.
It's alright.
Against it.
It's better than Infinite Crisis.
Infinite Crisis is pretty great. You're not thinking of Final Crisis, are you?
I know. I skipped that on your recommendation because it was so bad.
I'm kind of coming back around to Final Crisis again after extensive research, talking to various people and listening to the audiobook version. and appreciating its position as the central act of Morrison's Batman, and the way it echoes back in Return of Bruce Wayne and feeds into like literally everything else Morrison turned out to be doing on Batman. Actually, in the final act, turned out, hey, what do you know? Actually, all ties into Final Crisis. I have a different. I'm coming back around to it. I need to reread it again in book format with the tie-ins worked into it, but I'm come back around to it. I wouldn't recommend reading it in isolation, but as an essential, if you're reading Morrison's Batman, it's an essential chapter, and I think it probably functions a lot better there than it does as an isolated event.
I am not going back to read it.
I would recommend reading Morrison's Batman.
But anyway, I've been ploughing through the books that followed it out of Brightest Day with great gusto, reading through Brightest Day Volume 1, Generation Lost Volume 1, Green Lantern, Core, Revolt of the Alpha Lanterns. That was a bad book. But anyway, last night I read Flash, Dastardly Death of the Rogues.
I know we're talking.
I tell you what, that's a hell of a book.
There's only 6 more issues after that.
I know. What a bitch.
Yes.
Thank you, New 52. Yeah, absolutely blown away. I loved Rebirth. I was looking forward to reading this, but just Johns' writing combined with just an amazing art style. So un-DC almost.
That artist is still drawing The Flash now, Francis Manapul. He's co-writing it now as well. So there's a lot of really effective like artist-writer page trickery in The Flash now. But the best is actually ahead of you on that Flash as well, because even though the next story arc is prelude to Flashpoint, and that was the dampest of squibs, the single best issue out of the 12 is next as part of that story.
Right, because I haven't finished the book. I've got the just reading the Captain Boomerang one shot, I think it was, at the end of that book. But yeah, absolutely blown away. And if that artist is still on the book, I am likely to pick up Flash and carry on reading Flash, which after the 52 is well, my books had gone down from 10 to 1 at one point. So yeah, I'm really just blown away with how good that book is. I don't know what it is about the Flash. I just really like the character, and I like Iris as well. And I think the Rogues are all right.
The Rogues are great. I'm not particularly bothered about Barry, but it's the Rogues that get me to read Flash. You know, people used to say when I was, before I read a lot of DC, I would hear, the best Rogues galleries in comics are Batman and Spider-Man. There's really no argument about that, But, and then, people would say The Flash, and I'd be like, really? The Flash? And I read some Flash, and I was like, yeah, The Flash.
Yeah, there's just defined personalities, isn't it? There's none of because most of them work together.
Their funny thing is that they do not have the unifying theme. Like the way Spider-Man's villains almost all have the animal theme working for them, or the science gone wrong sort of theme in Spider-Man's villains. And Batman's villains are defined by their manias. That's the common thread with Batman villains, is their compulsions and their delusions and their manias. Whereas Flash's villains are just blue-collar criminals with a million different themes and a million different looks and ideals and goals. And that's what they are defined by their lack of defining traits.
We are pigeonholing you somehow.
Well,
somehow, damn it, we will. Yes, but anyway, Dastardly Death of the Rogues. It's 6 months old now. The hardcover.
Oh, the hardcover probably came out about that long ago. But the story's a good year old now.
Yeah, it's damn good. So there's 4 lots of things to go and get your teeth into.
Year and a half, nearly.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Looking forward to Flashpoint. That's like staring down the barrel of a Magnum, isn't it?
First 2 issues of Flashpoint are great. I don't mean that in a funny way. I mean, like, they're great. And then it's like,
yay!
Woo, looking forward to that. So we kick in to the death of Optimus Prime. Before we start, covers.
Yay!
4 covers. Cover A
covers.
is the Optimus Prime Generation 1 toy.
Much nicer than the Megatron one from last issue.
Yeah, it's actually slightly atmospheric, this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it helps that the toy's battered to hell.
And yeah, I don't think it's the original, because the original couldn't turn its head, could it?
I think that's just Photoshoppery.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Original couldn't hold its gun like that either.
Yes, of course, you have to have the gun at the angle, don't you?
Yeah,
That's right, yeah.
that's not one of the reissues with the modified fists, as far as I can see. But I'm just looking at the thumbnail on the inside cover of my copy because I got the other cover.
The other cover, which is the Nick Roach homage to the was it issue 100 of the Marvel UK series with
150.
150 of Rodimus opening the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
The first retailer incentive is Livio's homage to the first ever Transformers cover.
Yep.
And the fourth cover is a cover collaging all the covers of IDW's run.
Yep. Front and back.
I'd like to have gotten that Livio one.
Yeah, because this feels like the new number.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Livio's work. I don't think he did beautiful vistas in Chaos. You know, huge, big, double-page spreads and shots of the atmosphere. But as soon as he had to do anything like panel-to-panel storytelling or close-ups, it all went to shit. But that is a very nice Vista-style cover. And, you know, homages, like I was saying before the show, we don't get enough of those.
Andy, would you pick one?
I'd probably pick the RI-B.
The multicolor, the cover, yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of grabbing every other cover and then making this giant collage and then having the Autobot and Decepticon insignia slapped on there. I like it. It's a little bit different, and it's a good bookmark for the end of this run.
Yeah.
I imagine they had the initial idea of trying to make the symbols out of the colours of the covers.
Yeah, and then they just gave
And then
up.
they realised it would have been cock straight away.
Yeah.
It's also nice to see, just like looking at some of the covers that you can pick out, the fact that you've got the Long Beach convention exclusive for All Hail Megatron 15.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that. So you've got all of the ones that maybe you wouldn't have had the chance to get hold of before.
Yeah.
I would wonder if that's all of them, though.
I don't think it's all of them. It can't be. Unless it's a proper fold out.
I'm doing some maths.
Yeah.
There's 108 covers on each side.
Okay, so it's
9 by 12.
So it can't be all of them.
Oh, hang on, wait a minute, I'm counting that wrong.
They tried. You know, you have to give them props for trying.
Oh, no, I am right, yeah. 9.
That's 200.
Sorry, 120 on each
So it's
side.
240.
I guess that could be all of them. No, it couldn't.
No, since most of them had 3.
Yeah, at least 3, yeah. You feel out of the gate, Death of Optimus Prime.
Or the ones that Variety would have given maybe 4, because here we have 4.
Well, and also the fact that you've got the convention exclusives, I can make out the Killing Joke Megatron in there as well. Which
let's not linger.
we can pick this one.
We just, you know, that's
We'll give them props for trying.
We will now judge your book on your failure of a cover.
Wow.
So, story by James Roberts and John Barber. Oh no, you don't.
You know what it would be? It would be the Nick Roach one, of course.
Of course it would. I personally will be different, and I will pick the first cover, the one with the toy on it, because it actually looks good, and the toy was never that good.
I had the choice, but I went with the Nick one.
You went with the homage.
Yeah.
A freaky looking Matrix.
Well, it's Planet. It's Cybertron.
It is. It's Cybertron inside.
Yeah.
And everyone remembers what was on the back of 150?
It was Unicron.
Yep. No sign of Unicron here.
No.
Not
Probably
yet.
Quite right, so.
Yeah, probably a damn good thing.
Yeah.
Quite right, too.
So, the story by James Roberts, John Barber, art by Nick Roach, colours by Josh Bertram, letters by Sean Lee, production assistance by Alice Sokolova and editor Carlos Guzman. And the story so far. 125 issues later, here we are. In a desperate bid to save the universe, Autobot leader Optimus Prime plunged the creation matrix into the heart of Cybertron. A searing white light consumed everything. As his vision cleared, Prime found himself on the desolate surface of a world he did not recognize. The matrix lay before him, broken in two.
Sure is nice to know that, because there was no real indication that's what happened at the end of Chaos.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, Prime was sort of sitting there, and the Matrix was split in two, but, you know, he did open it, so that tends to be what happens when you open the Matrix, is that it does come in two like that. And the planet didn't look any more barren or different than it looked throughout the entirety of Chaos. So, you know, nice to have that little clarification.
Judging the child by the sins of the father. It's not right, Chris.
No, I'm not. I ain't judging it at all. I'm being a little sarcastic when I say it's nice to have the clarification. I never like it whenever preview pages have to tell you something that the previous comic failed to convey. But artistically, I'm not surprised. Like the artistic feelings of Chaos were many.
But we're here to review 125.
Yeah.
Always knew it was going to be a mistake bringing you on.
Oh, don't worry. I got love stockpiled. It's coming. It's coming.
It's better than your last intro.
What's my last intro again?
40 minutes of Sonic the Comic, followed by a half an hour of ripping on Exiles.
Sonic the Comic. Oh, yeah. Can we talk about that instead? No. Get Gruffy in here.
So we open with Optimus Prime looking out over a landscape he does not recognize, the damaged Matrix in hand, and he's looking around and basically getting a sense of it. He's on Cybertron. It's returned primordially. He's wondering if he's got traveled back in time. Then he notices that Luna 1 has disappeared, which is one of the moons. If not the past, then the future. And then he finds out through his GPS that he's actually
positioning system, which I thought was brilliant. Oh my gosh!
Plot device, but it works.
I would say all Transformers have that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They should.
He finds out he should be where the Manganese Mountains are, but they've been eroded away. And it's a future where whole cities have been reduced to rust, a future where Galvatron sweeps are still lying around.
What?
Yeah.
And the mystery's solved the next page.
No waiting with this comic. Right in there.
We kick straight in. Prime arrives at a population base, bots that he doesn't recognize and that don't recognize him, until someone runs up and accuses him, basically, of everything being his fault.
And
he's got freckles.
Okay, right. Okay, you guys.
And they call him Orion Pax.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't even call him Optimus Prime.
Okay, you guys, right. This guy, okay, right. This little guy, right, okay? You got the little color in his cheeks. You got the little freckles, right? Okay. Now you get a slightly better look at his head on page 16, right? You see he's got a big conical blue head. It's got like a little ball on the end of it, right? And he's got a red torso, and you can see his thighs, the blue upper thighs, okay? And he unlike all the other generics here, he actually has like visible, like maybe a kind of slightly earthly, like vehicular alt moon, okay? With big wheel rims, okay? So red conical head with a little round thing on the end of it, and a color in the cheeks, red and blue, big wheel hubs, grill in his chest, okay? Am I insane, all right? Or is this a Transformers version of Noddy?
Who?
Noddy.
Okay, that goes way over my head.
Yeah, that's a terminally British thing.
Okay.
Noddy
Not
is a children's character, but
Are you suggesting that the reason that Nick has put Noddy in this comic is that so on page 16 he can get pistol whipped?
maybe he has a little bale on his head.
Right. That's funny.
See,
I don't know. It's like, is it? Am I crazy? Am I mad? Maybe I'm just crazy, but looking at him, and it was like, and I'm going to get a picture and show it to Amy.
Awesome.
See, to me, he does look a little bit like Orion Pax from G1.
I guess a little. All I can see is Noddy.
Oh, geez. Wow.
You look up yourself?
No, I send the picture.
Yeah.
I don't know. You never know.
Is it Noddy? Because Noddy has a little car. Noddy has a little car with the big red wheel hubs, and you can see this little guy has like a front grille in his chest, and it's like Noddy's little car, the little bot who's a red and yellow car.
I guess we'll have to ask Nick.
Is it freaking Noddy? What the hell, man? He's got the little V in the middle of his head where Noddy has the tuft of hair.
Noddy bot.
There is the situation. Are you looking too much at this?
I don't know, man. I didn't sit and think. I think I'll look for a transformer that looks like Noddy today.
But it just stuck straight out, did it?
It was like, what is going on with that dude's head? Wait a minute. Well, anyway, not to get bogged down on the possibility of Enid Blyton's Noddy appearing in Transformers.
We hear the word in the background, this nail bothering you, Optimus? And Sideswipe and Whirl appear. Sideswipe sporting his Generation 2 outfit.
Yeah, not just colours, but bandoliers and giant guns as well.
Yeah. And as we find out, basically, nails are Prowl's acronym for the Cybertronians who have returned to Cybertron following the end of Chaos. Nails, non-affiliated indigenous life form. Basically, yeah, they haven't picked a side, and they buggered off.
Yeah.
And Sideswipe's playing the jerk. And last time we saw with James writing him, he started the war.
Looks like there was certainly no random selection of character to be bringing back here.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, World's shown up to be being a bit of a dick, basically, a bit of a moron. And yeah, Sideswipe jokes about Prime being a figure of hate. And of course, Prime doesn't know what's going on. And then he arrives at Autobot High Command. Now, Chris, you said this comic doesn't dick about. He just jumps straight in.
Right in. Look, flashback. Here we go. Everybody back from Earth. You can forget that thing. Let's move on. Let's go.
Good thing or a bad thing? Should we have had more time focusing on Prime not knowing what's going on? Or was this just enough exposition to get the story started?
Just enough for me.
Yep.
Andy, you're not one for non-dialogue heavy...
For dicking about.
Yeah.
They didn't funny around. They got straight to it. Good on you.
Okay.
It's not too very long ago that we've had, it was only a couple of issues ago where we had Optimus Prime wandering around with his two arms the one length going, what's going on? Galvatron won't tell me. Oh, what's going on? And it's not too much longer before that we had Rodimus Prime walking around on a barren wasteland of a planet going, what's going on? Where am I? Hello, Wheelie. So let's just quit, hit it and get in there. Yes, go. Good start.
Yeah, we've got 4 pages in.
I mean, the whole point here is that this is not about the Transformers wandering around directionless. This is about two groups of Transformers being methodical and proactive and trying to get shit done, whether it's on Cybertron or out in space. And this beginning totally reflects that.
Maybe kind of like the new writing stuff on Transformers, perhaps?
Maybe a pinch.
Just thrown out there.
So this would be the perfect start for you guys to how the series now takes hold. No dicking about.
No dicking.
Yeah. Put that on the next front cover.
That's the tagline.
Transformers robot in disguise, not dicking around.
No dicking about. It's just like Optimus, whatever. Let's see that. What's that cover with the one with the Bumblebee pointing and Ironhide and Prowl behind him, and just a big speech bubble, UK G1 style, coming out of Bumblebee, going, "We're not dicking around this time."
Oh, if
approve it, IDW, approve it.
If only.
Retail incentive cover. Come on.
Amy, you're a big fan of Nick's work.
Yep.
You're a big fan of Josh's colours.
Oh, yeah.
How did this opening strike you?
It worked perfectly for me. I mean, like these guys have already said, it moves across. You get to the point really fast. I mean, it makes sense to me that, he's like, yeah, what the heck is going on? And then the next page, when he actually finds out what's going on, everybody else finds out what's going on. And I'm like, I liked that. It just moved along. I mean, I'm not bogged down in where we're going. I feel like, oh, we're moving someplace. And not only that, is that, I think they're getting to the point of where we're going in this whole issue, like, really quick. And I'm like, I like the idea of that. It works for me, so.
It definitely, the first 2 pages are dense enough even on their own that I'm still, as a reader, asking myself, well, what is going on? I want to know.
Yeah.
I don't think, I don't, whenever he finds the population center, my response is not to go, right, that's that then. It doesn't make me think, well, what did you waste time monkeying about for, It carries it on through for another 2 pages as well, but Prime's still not knowing what's going on. It's just, I don't think you could start a brand new series like this. The only reason that you can do this story right now is because we are 125 issues in, and we know these characters, and we know the scenario the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. It's not where you start something brand new. It's not a brand new number 1 setup with nothing from before it. But for this point in time and where we are now, definitely, yes.
Well, and the other thing that I really liked about it is the fact... Oh, crap. Now I lost my train of thought. Damn it! Shoot! Oh, okay. Now, sorry, I remembered. Okay. The other thing I liked about it is the fact that when I looked, when I was today, because of course we've gotten this copy earlier, but when I looked at the preview today, it had 5 pages. And I went, wait a minute, isn't there a page missing? And I thought, oh gosh. And I went back and looked at, and I went, no, that's exactly what we have. And I thought there was more art in here that, like, it gives the idea. I was just kind of thinking about that, going, well, how in the world is it that I can look at the preview and think it's missing something, and then I look at it and see, oh, it's actually not. And I thought, well, that's because it moves along so quickly that I guess somewhere in my brain I had my own images of what direction we went for the first 2 pages, and I kind of felt like, oh, well, where are those other images that I thought I saw in my head? It was just like I was already decompressing it in my own brain.
Yeah, with the best will in the world, like, with the best will in the world, these first 4 pages are an entire Mike Costa issue.
Yeah.
I'm not being funny. Like, Optimus spans, 15 pages, wander in the wasteland, going, what's going on? I don't know. 2 arms to 1 leg. And then comes across the population center and the last 5, 6, and, gets the shocking ending where it's like, how does it feel to be a hit figure? Ooh, to be continued. I'm just like, we're not here to knock Costa or anything. That's just a statement of fact, I'm not even doing it to be sarcastic. It just would have been.
Well, the fact is, you could have had these 9 panels could quite easily have been 9 full pages.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But Nick and Josh have quite easily, in those, got across 9 pages worth of imagery, of scope, of scale, and, lovely things like the second panel of the first page. You wouldn't have argued if that had been a full page.
Not under Costa.
Mm-mm.
But here, done to the point, and we're away, and we're well into it, and we're in Autobot High Command, and Prime finds out that he's been missing 3 weeks.
And I was like, really, is that all? All right, I'm done with that, let's go.
And the best thing is, nobody gives a toss.
It's technically the future.
3 weeks. It
Where
is
all the
technically.
jetpack that? Yeah.
3 weeks. A lot has changed in 3 weeks.
Now, does anyone else think 3 weeks is, quite kind of a nod to maybe 3 years have passed? The way the last series started?
I don't think so, no.
If it is, wow.
It just seems a little like, 3 years, that was, 3 years, 3 weeks have passed, we can change everything in 3 weeks, we don't need a 3-year gap.
And then we'll proceed to explain it over the course of 2 pages.
Yep, basically.
Bringing it out.
We have, Prime arrives in Autobot High Command. Bumblebee's just turns into a massive bitch since the end of Chaos.
He is a load.
He's been dealing with a lot of crap. He's completely allowed.
Broadside and Wheeljack have turned into Green Lanterns. Pulling up constructs out their asses there. And basically, Prime says, give us the short version. So we get the short version. Vector Sigma happens, all goes catatonic, Cybertron comes alive, goes primordial. So they set up base camp in the wreckage of Chemia, sent a ship to pick up B, Prowl, and the gang from Earth.
What's that? That's done. Moving on. Next.
Yep.
Remember them guys that was on Earth? They're not anymore. Next. Go.
And then we find out that the non-combatants have come back. They said basically they felt a pulse from Vector Sigma, something that Bumblebee and those guys felt as well, and they just arrived ship after ship after ship. Former Decepticons, pacifists, people who tried to stay neutral, that were scared or had more judgments or anything. And now they've all come home. And as Bumblebee says, expecting to find a paradise, Cybertron reborn.
Whoops.
And who should enter the scene at this point?
Good sweet God.
It's Metal Hawk.
What? No way.
Way.
Yes, way.
Now, anybody who doesn't know who Metal Hawk is, he is Mr.
Get out.
Hawk to you.
Get out.
Yeah.
Japanese only character and toy. Pretender. Basically the leader of the Autobots in Master Force until God Jim Wright turns up and
he gave it away.
And he just which was an ongoing theme of the Japanese series, actually, that they just gave power away. Rather.
You are stronger than me. Here. You are better with a sword.
And then we have this beautiful moment where Prime, I don't know, Prime's just as much of a bitch as Bumblebee.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah, I'm surprised you remember me at Ironbacks. I remember you ran.
Bitch. I remember you
like
ran.
it. It's like he's talking down to Prime, so he's like, well, I'll talk down to you as well. How do you like it? And you can see the surprise in Metal Hawk's face. He's like, you bastard. I'm Metal Hawk. Metal Hawk. I'm not Ran. I'm not the nerdy kid that you picked on at school, Prime.
I got wings.
He's got an awesome design, it has to be said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm always a little bit antsy whenever American writers bring Japanese characters in. You know, it's like the shit they took on Die Atlas was nothing ordinary as far as I was concerned. You know, Die Atlas would kick your ass and mail it home to your mother in Zone. That was his thing. And then Drift miniseries comes along. Well, we need somebody wise and mystical and swords. Well, the Japanese. Die Atlas was Japanese. Would he do? Yeah, Japanese. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. No bullshit. So I'm always a little bit, and it's like when Dreamwave they didn't get stuck into it, but whenever they presented Deathsaurus and Atlas again as ancient Transformers with statues down in the bowels of the planet, I was like, I was less so then because I didn't know them myself at the time, but having seen all the Japanese shows at this point, I get antsy, but I'm okay with this. I'm okay so far. I mean, I'm not in love with the little bestial touches in Metal Hawk's design.
What, the claws on his?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at page, if you look at page 11 specifically, he's got some nearly organic talons. But you know, and his
Well, you could put that down to where he's been, because God knows where he's been chilling out.
Oh yeah, I mean that's totally what it is. But you know, that doesn't change the fact that I'm just not in love with the look of it. You know, and
do you want to?
It's not that. It's just it's not Metal Hawk. You know.
But you know, we don't know how this character's going to work out. It's Metal Hawk in name only at the moment. You know.
He's a blank slate.
Well, you know, they still have the idea that he was in charge of a couple of guys who left the planet, you know, so that's the, you know, so that basic thread is there. And he's got very Nickish proportions, but it's like Nick squared. So I'll be interested. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's just like he does have particularly exaggerated proportions that do go beyond the exaggerations Nick normally puts in his artwork. So I'll be curious to see how other artists render him.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see why he's
like, I'm not sure how he got through that door. You know, he's
very carefully
sideways to get those wings in.
And we find out, we get mentioned
One more point.
Yeah. Oh, go on, Amy, go.
Sorry. I was going to say, this is at the point where I looked at that and thought, I really like this kind of vibe that we're getting, that, there are those that are non-aligned and those that were, and there's a little bit of a prejudice going on here. And I kind of thought, well, wow, I mean, that's the first time I think we've seen like a little bit of ill behavior between, those that they fought for that, we haven't seen. And I thought, well, that'll be really interesting to build upon as we continuing issues as we go, because it's not just between Decepticons and Autobots now. It's like, oh, well, we're going to look down on those that didn't even get involved as well. So
well, they've already called them nails. They've already tarred them with a name, and by the end of the issue, we're properly in the realms of apartheid almost.
Yeah, I mean the idea of neutralists is something that Transformers has only ever sort of toyed with before. Yeah. Usually they give lip service to the idea that they exist right before a ship of them gets blown up, just to punctuate the fact that you can't be neutral, you have to pick a side or you die anyway. I'm thinking of the War Within. The first issue of The War Within is what immediately leaps to mind when I think of the portrayal of neutrals. And this is, I think this might be one of the first times that neutrals are really going to get a fair shake. And
G1 did it too. G1 did it too with that whole planet that was on the other side of wherever, and they blew up as well. Yeah.
But those were guys. It's not like they were a little different. I mean, first of all, it was an '80s cartoon, so it was just a planet of illogical pacifists, suicidally peaceful. And these were guys who didn't really know the war either. Yeah. These were the descendants of people who left before and who didn't really know that part of their own histories. These are the guys who actually made the conscious choice to leave. And this is the sort of story that peacetime actually allows you to tell, not pissing about on Earth for 25 issues.
Yeah.
There is a lovely, I've just noticed it in the artwork, some of the ship's designs. One of the main ones actually on page 7 actually has the sort of Decepticon symbols in the front of it.
But not quite.
Yeah. And it's like, they, as I said, former Decepticons, so they've altered their ship. They've gone away and...
See, I even think that that might just be a symbol from beforehand, and that might have been what turned into the Decepticon logo. I mean, you're quite right in saying that the idea is that it's supposed to be, but not quite. The sense of otherness.
Yeah, which is a lovely thing. And we find out mention of Diatlas and the Circle of Light, which I mean... Yeah, I imagine had you trying to cut your own throat, Chris.
I cut my own throat. Prime goes, they were a cult. We were better off without them. And I was like, yes, thank you.
And we have this lovely interplay. It's, you've hit the nail on the head that peacetime allows you to tell these stories where we have almost a political discussion. A theological discussion of, Autobots, Decepticons, you were all cults. Metalhawk saying he doesn't represent a faction, he represents Cybertronians, and we want our world back.
Dick, who appointed him boss?
He did, he's Metalhawk.
Yeah, that's true.
And, basically, Prime gets a bit defensive, as you would after 4 million years of war.
Yeah.
And Metalhawk says,
That's communist talk, hippie.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's a civil war. It's basically, thanks for saving the planet and getting rid of Megatron. Now do one. And this is what's been going on. The Autobots have had to deal with this for the last 3 weeks. And as Rodimus turns around and says, look, just pop the Matrix open and let's get this set back to normal, Prime reveals that it's broken.
It's funny to me how that, you see, I look at that and yep, that Matrix is broke. But that's not what I saw at the end of Chaos, I saw the two halves of the Matrix holder lying open. I didn't see the crystal split down the middle. I know to be worried when I see that.
So we go to... the next scene starts in a place called the Decepticon Pen. And basically, the Decepticons are being held as prisoners of war in the gun barrel from Kenya.
Yeah. This really does make the size... you really get the awesomeness of how big this gun is now. Because you look up there and you see all of these Decepticons all the way back up into the barrel. You're going, wow, that was a massive thing.
Well, it's just this is just one of the greatest pages.
Hell yeah!
Of Transformers ever. No, we've got just this panel alone. We've got Swindle trying to cut a deal. We've got Ratbat.
Ratbat! Oh, yes! Ratbat is one of my favorite Transformers of all friggin' time.
Where has he been?
Where has he been? He got turned back into a tip and bit a boat. And that's the last thing Ratbat did.
See, I couldn't remember. I thought maybe he appeared in that really bad comic that we're not allowed to speak of around Mikey, but I'm guessing he didn't.
No.
Hearts of Darkness?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so this is the first time we've seen him since Megatron Origins.
And that was after he had been portrayed as he was a senator in Megatron Origins.
Yeah.
And then they did that really lame thing that they do. Dreamwave did it as well, where it was like, well, he was important, so he must have been humanoid at one time and got forced to look like a bat. You know, it's like he couldn't just have always looked that way. No. We have to have a reason for it. And then he get turned into a tape, and he was an MP3 player in Escalation, was it? I think. And then there was a CD player or some kind of media player. It appeared for like one panel, and then he was a cassette again in All Hail Megatron, and here he is now in full senator mode, and he is going to be doing stuff.
And then we have my favourite line before we get onto Ratbat trying to be a political senator again and Starscream being a narky bastard. We have some great background characters. We've got Pounce, we've got Shrapnel, Bombshell, Shockwave, Soundwave, Horrible.
Yes!
Yeah. Do you see Needle Nose poking his head in there on the right-hand side? Needle Nose.
And you get the feeling that these characters are going to be important. They're in colour. There are other background. Yeah. This is something that was mentioned on the Moonbase 2. Andy, you mentioned it, about the background characters being all one colour in Marvel, and then unless you had a line, you were one colour.
Yeah.
And right here, you've got exactly the same thing. Unless you're important, you're a background character, you're one colour.
That is an important storytelling colouring device that a lot of Transformers colorists have forgotten. Because the fancy world of computer coloring allows you to get in there and do this to everybody, nobody really recognizes everybody only looks at block coloring as some kind of limitation of the time. It's an artistic trick to guide a panel, and not enough people use it anymore.
But despite all of that, we finally find out about Cyclonus.
He's in there. There he is.
I don't belong here. I'm not one of them.
That's not what Chaos said.
I mean, how tongue-in-cheek a line could you get? You just feel that James and John, whoever wrote that, was just like, let's set the record straight on this, shall we? He's not a Decepticon. He's gonna make it very vocally clear. Anyway, Ratbat tries to not bargain, but just chat with Optimus as a senator whose reputation has been unfairly tarnished. And Prime basically tells him to piss off.
Yeah. There is a line in the solicitation for the second issue of it's Robots in Disguise as Jones, isn't it? Or no, that's more than... Which one is it? It's Robots in Disguise as Jones.
Yeah.
And it's like, Ratbat launches a deadly attack and only Prowl can stop it. That is the greatest sentence in the history of man. Because his attack is probably like he's going to lobby a bill and Prowl has to filibuster it.
Awesome.
False advertising. False advertising.
Nothing false about it for me. If there's explosions, so much the better. I am geared for some debate.
And we find out that all the Decepticons have been ID chipped to track them. And Bumblebee basically says they could get out, but where would they go? And we see from a lovely landscape shot that basically civilization is surrounding the wreckage of Kimia, and that's it. And there isn't much else out there. And we get dragged away within one page to another scene.
Yep. Off we go. Next thing.
To the workshop. And Prime, looking more and more like a hulking bastard with every page, comes in.
Shoulder wings.
Yeah, comes into Perceptor and Rewind.
Rewind! What the hell? Awesome! picked this cast? It's brilliant.
And
everybody who has made this comic is smiling. They're going, yeah.
And
when did Rewind ever do anything except for like that one episode of G1? But he's such a great character. He's such a unique twist as like an obsessive trivia guy who absorbs all knowledge he can around him. And he's the perfect kind of guy to call in whenever you want questions answered. Nobody ever uses him, but here he is.
Yeah, and of course, what's the greatest thing about Rewind in G1?
What, Townsend Coleman?
He's voiced by Townsend Coleman. So instantly, he's top of my list. So yeah, superb to see him, and we find out that there's an inscription inside the Matrix in old Cybertronian, and as Rewind is trying to work out what it is, Prime basically cuts him down by just telling him what it is. A lovely reaction.
Well, no, I mean, Rewind says he thinks it says many from one or one from many. Surely that's still all or one.
Yes. But I just love Rewind's reaction that within a line you've got so much of his character, how annoyed he is. You know, as you say, Chris, he is the trivia guy. He knows this stuff. This is his thing. This would be the equivalent to, I don't know, so just someone randomly at AA walking up to you while you're trying to work out something from the Allspark Almanac and going, oh, it's that, and then just walking off. You would hit the freaking roof.
We did up with that.
You just get the same sort of feeling of Rewind, like he's just like, what the go away. And we find out that the Matrix is not naturally occurring. It's synthetic. It contains deliberate fracture lines. It was designed to split open, and if you shine a spotlight through it, it's a star system map.
They did
that so much better. They did that so much better than they did in Exiles, because in Exiles, it was also a map as well, and they did not build up to it at all. It was just suddenly, oh, look, it's a map! Wow!
By the way,
that was excellent.
Well, to be fair, Prime had it for about 5 minutes at that point in Exiles.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something deliciously primitive about the fact you just shine a light through it, then.
The fact that we got all this jargon from Perceptor about the photonic crystal, billions of metallo dielectric nanostructures.
But hey, watch this. Flips the light switch.
Isn't this cool? And again, one page and we're done.
Done.
We've got plot. We know what's going on. We're done. I mean, okay, we're about to go into page 11. 10 pages in. Andy.
Yes.
Pace is going. Things are happening. Art looks pretty. It's got some comedy moments. How are you feeling about Transformers Ongoing?
It's about damn time.
Yeah.
What's happened for the past 2 years? Why can we have more of this?
There is a feeling that we couldn't have got to this unless we'd had a couple of years.
I don't know.
But
I don't think we needed 2 full years of what we had to get to this.
Chris, you've obviously been reading because you're a comic guy and a Transformers guy, so you've been reading the books. How was the first 10 pages of the new Transformers strike you?
So much stuff. It's completely contrary to the way comics are really written, Even the comics that I class among the best, and the comics I class among the best these days, the ones that I enjoy the most, tend to be the ones that do sort of work against the more widely accepted modern storytelling methods. Things like Mark Waid's Daredevil, where it's fun and swashbuckling. Or Journey into Mystery, where it's all very mythical, oral, tradition-y style tales of gods and legends. Or Avengers Academy, where just like a heck of a lot of stuff is always happening. These are not compared to the New 52, which I'm not knocking on a whole, but which has slid so very much towards the dark since its reboot. There's nothing in the New 52 I could give to a child, or the more popular, the big Marvel money spinners, the Bendises and the Brubakers and things, the more decompressed methods of storytelling. This is just off there, and then there's a sense. I sort of want to say it's happening almost too fast. You know, I don't think you'll find a comic that's moving at this clip anywhere else on the shelves. But we need this. I think that's the most important thing. We need this now. It's not the comic we deserve, it's the comic we need. But it's also that, well, no, frankly, the way a lot of the Transformers fandom has behaved towards IDW over the last year, they don't deserve work of this caliber. But here it is anyway.
Amy, we've been there since the start. 10 pages in, is all forgiven?
Well, I'm not going to, completely ignore the fact that after 2 years, that it's been really, really decompressed. But Chris is right. This is what we really need. This is really what we really need. And I don't expect every issue to keep up at this pace.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm, it gets us to the point where we need to go. It gets us from point A to point M. In one issue. Yeah. It really does. I mean,
totally, yeah.
It gets us to point A to point M, where it needs to be. And
there is content enough in here for a miniseries.
Oh, yeah.
That's something when I first read this, I said to Dave that I couldn't take an issue like this every 2 weeks.
Your mind would be off your head.
There's so much, it's so exposition heavy, there's so much text in it. But, as you say, the pacing is so insanely fast.
Not in a way that you really notice when you're reading it. No. I mean, if you turned this into a miniseries, it wouldn't be a decompressed miniseries. It would just be a briskly paced miniseries. You would have some more... I mean, I love to look at a page and just see as many speech bubbles staring back at me as there are on this after 2 years of 4 panels, 4 speech balloons.
There's just so much stuff that they packed into this that it's like, okay... I'm like putty in the hands of the writer at this point. I'm like, I trust them 100% because it's like, I get that we're going somewhere. And like for the first time, I feel like, wow, we have a plot and like there's going to be real crap that's going to hit the fan. And there's going to be real introduction to their culture and their real introduction to like, going on a space epic and all of it quite literally, it feels like we are getting everything set up in one issue to launch the 2 ongoings in this. And I'm just completely on board with it.
That's really the key distinction, isn't it? There, you say you trust the writers. For the last 2 years, we've had to hope.
Yeah.
Here, we know.
Yeah.
We know good is coming down the line. We know that these writers know what they're doing and know where they're going, and we have faith in them. We have had to hope for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Hang on, you had hope.
Where he was going.
I didn't have hope.
If you had to have something.
I had hope for a while, but it kind of died.
Yeah, it got beat out of you right around the...
This is very intentional. Everything about it feels intentional.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like, okay, every little panel is loaded with something that they're going to touch on again. Whereas I didn't feel that with what we've gotten for the last 2 years. We had stuff that, when we got the Thundercracker issue, people were sure. They're hoping.
Yeah.
Go back to the hope. They were hoping that we'd see more of that. And then, of course, we didn't.
You got these little glimpses. Glimpses of things. And then it's like, it was like International Incident was the absolute nadir of the ongoing, And then you had Revenge of the Decepticons, and you're like, well, hang on a minute. There's some stuff going on here. This isn't bad, And then you had Space Opera, and I was like, hey, this is actually legitimately good. And then you had James's 2 issues, and it was like, do you know what's crazy is the way it's like, it seems like the stuff James seeded in his 2 issues is the stuff that John is actually going to be doing. That was funny to me. I was surprised by that. But then it was like, hey, well, now we're on a roll chaos. And then it was like...
The balloon deflated with...
Yeah, I kept saying that IDW spent like the first half of this year really pulling their socks up with Revenge of the Decepticons leading into Space Opera, and they legitimately did. And that was whenever we were getting John's great Movieverse books as well, and it was a good time to be reading the comics. And then it was like, bugger.
Yeah, anticlimax of the highest order, wasn't it, in a way?
It's true.
But that's the past. We're moving to the future, and the future has Dogfight walking down a hallway.
Daddy, dog Dogfight, motherfucker! I thought that was Dogfight! That is Zetka, one of the Japanese exclusive Godmaster engines that was sold on his own. What the fuck? What the fuck?
I thought he was a Micromaster.
Like, what the hell? Seriously, who picked that? What? What were you doing? Were you hitting random page on the TF wiki? What were you doing? Were you looking for other Master Force era characters from Mattlehog to interact with?
But it's just the fact that you don't expect it from that character. The way he's written as well, you expect it to be.
And I thought it was Dogfight.
Yeah, the design looks so much like Dogfight. The color scheme.
Oh, yeah. Except for the little gold bumps over the shoulders. Like, he was a redeco of I'm saying Lightfoot, but that was Rev.
Wow.
He was sold on as, like the way there was the Headmaster heads in Japan, the exclusive ones. Like, they had exclusive engines as well, but they were just repaints of the 3 Autobot engines. They weren't unique engines. But that's who this dude is. What the hell?
That's insane.
In it though.
So you don't like it when they draw random Japanese characters out to fill a role, but when it's just
personality. This guy was in a cipher. There was nothing to him at all. But I do kind of get the antsiness as well, because if he was a Godmaster, that means he was a human in a suit, and here he's a full-size Transformer, but he never had a personality, so it's okay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he transforms into anything other than an engine.
Yeah, he doesn't really have. He's got those little jobbies on his arms and legs, so he does have a kind of an engine-y, a jet look, you know.
But anyway, we basically he's
also great personality in the first Breach bubble.
Yeah, not happy. I think is the basic personality type. He stomps down.
It's got like the clip dialogue. Just to serve some guy what says he's a prime. It's like Sal from Futurama. I ain't jumping across the galaxies to serve some guys what says he's a prime.
And we get the first sense that Metal Hawk is, I don't know, he seems a little underhand. He's a little sneaky.
Slime here.
Yeah, and he's just, he's just puts his arm around him, almost takes his head off, with his vast claw and wing.
No, what the hell?
Yeah, and he's just sort of whispering in his ear, we'll have our freedom, but if we try and kick off, we're gonna get totaled, basically. Yeah. And we're not Decepticons, aren't we? And he's being all political and all being nice, and Bumblebee calls him out, and he transforms and jets off with a warning that something serious is on the brink of happening. And that something serious doesn't take an issue to arrive. It happens in the next page.
Yep.
With a effigy of Optimus Prime hanged. Because
sometimes you do worry that these things are a little too humanistic. Actually, that's something that one notes of James Roberts' writing, and I'm not knocking him for it or anything, but there is a slight tendency, and I think it's a tendency born out of the UK comics, which tended to do it a bit more. His Transformers are maybe a pinch too humanistic, to burn things in effigy. Or, there's that moment early in the comic where Prime asks what the hell is going on that just rings a little false. That's a Roberts line. Or we're basically looking at apartheid here, and you look at the Megatron and Optimus chaos theory. There's a little too much of the sting of human politics in this. It's a little too we always say like the best way to write Transformers is people in metal suits, but you do have to remember that they are aliens, and there will be certain differences. Costa wasn't wholly wrong when he went into that, I'm not going to call it a diet, but they had the interview with you guys last week, and he did seem to be approaching it in a very wrong-headed way, but he wasn't asking the wrong questions of the franchise, and I think James is a little too invested in the humanistic elements. It's one thing for the characters to have, relatable human personalities. Sometimes they lean too far the other way, and you get, to things talking about their sensors and what have you, and just acting very inhuman. It depends on the sort of story you want to tell, but this is a little heavy on the humanism for me.
Just the fact that they're protesting in such a way that
It's one of many little subtle touches in James Roberts' writing in general, just that I notice, you know.
Well, it's an easily relatable situation. You're not then delving into it as a reader, trying to understand the motivation behind it, trying to understand the imagery of it. You're just going instantly, straight away. They're protesting. You know, they've got him up as an effigy. They want them out. This is what we do. I get it. Well, actually, what we do is burn places to the ground. But there we go.
Yeah. There's a parade in my town where we burn in effigy a figure every year, actually. So, you know, that's not the...
Well, there's on Bonfire Night down in Lewis.
Yeah.
They burn the Pope every year.
Oh, well.
Wow.
Well, that's nice. But yeah, well, you know, I think just it's like hearing a Transformer use earthly words like hell or whatever is always a little, it rings a little false to my ears. It's funny that, because you can tell it's a Roberts line, because, you know, that's the funny thing about this in general. I'll probably save should have saved it to the end. Well, it's like when you read this, by and large, you don't actually know where Barber stops and Roberts begins, or vice versa. This flows, you know. But you read Chaos, you know what's Roberts and you know what's Costa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's already boding very well.
Yes, which means the two series should dovetail quite nicely.
It just means they're going to be good.
Yeah.
That's all I mean. Never mind dovetailing or whatever.
And Prime is watching out over the protesters. The first became 10, 10 became 100, 100 became 1,000. And basically, High Command argued about other matters. That one lot wants to go after the Knights of Cybertron. That is what Drift believes is the map.
Listen to Drift.
Basically, Drift is, because of his time in Crystal City with Diatlas, is obviously is very aware of all this, and this lovely panel. We got Drift pointing at Bumblebee, and Bumblebee sort of resting on his cane, like, no, look, we're staying here. It's fictional. Magnus, you know, observing and trying to work it out. Prowl, hands on hips, coldly analysing it, and Hot Rod with his hand down his pants.
Al Bundy style.
Yeah.
He's sitting back, relaxed. Yeah.
Because he's already made his decision. That's the thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then Prowl just outright, they never existed. Drift.
Diatlas is like the leader of robot Scientology.
Oh, cold. And we get this, Bumblebee not wanting to write it off, because Bumblebee is slowly growing into a good leader. He wants to understand his people.
It only took 2 years for someone to pay off the idea.
Drift explains Diatlas was obsessed with finding what he called the right roadmap to cyber utopia. His name in Old Cybertron is Diatlas, literally God map. He always said the Matrix was the key.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah,
just such a little thing, but that's pretty damn awesome.
Just like, absolutely. Oh, well, that fits in just nicely. That.
What an amazing coincidence.
I don't know how I felt about that. I felt it was a bit too much of a coincidence.
Well, the guy's name, it's not like I imagine they thought, right, Diatlas, right, let's do something with a map. I'm pretty sure they came up with that first and then went, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We can go back and turn that shitty miniseries into something that might be half relevant.
And Rodimus just gets well into it. He's just like, yeah, you think you'll lead us there? Let's go. Let's get Omega. Go. At which point we start to get the fraction between Bumblebee and Rodimus. And as we know, Roberts in disguise, more than meets the eye, one team goes in either direction.
Yep.
Bumblebee, very keen to get everything working together. Rodimus very keen to get the hell off the planet, because, as he says, they don't belong here anymore. And we just get this lovely little exchange of, oh please, haven't we been here before? Are you going to have a tantrum and storm off every time you have to do something you disagree with? This isn't me having a tantrum, this is me growing up. And it all starts to get really, he's passionate about these knights, that they are what could reunite the thing, and then everything blows up.
Woo. Yep. Kaboom.
And we find that the protesters basically just lobbed a power cell from one of the ships into High Command's wall.
Yeah. So basically, the High Command is they're arguing with each other when they have a big group of non-aligned individuals outside their door that are about ready to rip them apart.
Yeah, the fact that you've got Whirl basically being taken down by about 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
And then...
It's hard to care whenever Whirl's such a dick.
I think that's why...
And that's a pretty conscious decision, you know?
Yeah, but that's when you get this Prowl in his element.
Yep.
Our lives at risk. This is important, Sideswipe. Our Autobots' lives at risk. We're dropping life for life, Prowl. That's what I need to hear. Now I'm going to ask you to do something, and you're going to protest. I'm going to insist. And we're all going to have to live with the consequences.
Mike Costa would have strung it out for one full issue. Oh, wait, what's this? Next page, it's happened already? Rock and roll.
The Decepticons are free.
Yep.
I'm not even kidding. Would have spent an issue, or half an issue, somebody standing face to face, probably rat-batting up and Prowlers or Strides up standing on the other side of the nets going, go on, nah, go on, nah, go on, nah. And then 5 minutes later, he would have come and helped them with surprise. No, but it's all happened off panel because we already know what Prowl is going to ask him to do because it's treating its readers with some measure of intelligence as well.
Yep.
It knows what's going to... We know, as you know, there's no question what is going to happen here. There's no question what the outcome is going to be. Maybe somebody's going to argue about it for a while, but it's all going to happen, and they're not wasting any page space whatsoever. Boom! Next page, Ratbat. Look, it's Ratbat. I love Ratbat.
Ratbat basically saying, no, they're using you. We need to rise up against the Decepticons. And we get the first signs of friction between Ratbat and Starscream. What Starscream points out, you turn on the Autobots, the rioters are going to unite with the Autobots against the Decepticons. Which is this lovely, you don't understand Starscream. Well, I understand why nobody's listened to Ratbat for 4 million years.
Yeah. This is gonna, because this just puts Ratbat in such a peak position for me to enjoy later. You know, it's like he's so immensely wrong-headed. It is like, catch yourself on, Ratbat. This is not the way to go about this. But he's going to persist, and he's going to ruin it for everybody. And that's why Ratbat's going to be brilliant, because you're always going to remember Ratbat as the guy that ruined it for everybody.
Yeah.
And then we have this lovely trio of fight panels overlaid in the same way as the opening was with Optimus Prime's narration. Basically saying, you know, I'd like to think Prowl regretted it, but it doesn't sound like Prowl.
Needle Nose.
As Ravage tears someone into someone. Needle Nose just chins someone.
Needle Nose, you know that's a James Roberts decision as well. When has Needle Nose ever done anything like in 2 black and white UK stories? And I freaking love Needle Nose because of those 2 black and white UK stories. I know, and he died for his own stupidity. And yet I know the character because of the strength of it. And you know that's why he's been picked to be in here from that level of familiarity.
And then this last sort of war panel, we just have Prime watching from the wreckage of Chemia as... Well, yeah, a full-scale brawl breaks out. We find out that the Decepticon ID chips were deterrence chips as well. That they
are identification inhibitor deterrence. Great. Look at the block coloring. Look at the block coloring in the background.
And we find out that basically they can't use their alt modes. They can't use their built-in weaponry. And if they fail to exercise restraint, the deterrence half would be detonated.
Look, it's Noddy again.
My definition of restraint clearly different from Prowl and Bumblebee's. And Noddy is getting pistol whipped, movie barricade.
Yeah, that's a. You know, it's like you don't want to jump to these decisions. You want to look. That's always been a thing about Nick Roach's artwork. I'm sure I've said it in this show before. I'm sure you guys have said it before as well. He has this way of tapping into like a sense of design that makes these things look like they belong, and it makes you want to look at them and go, "Who's that?" It was particularly evident with all those deliciously Euro G2 coloured generics in Last Stand of the Wreckers. You wanted to look at them and go, who's that there? But not so much with this one, because the ones that have come back to the planet are all really misshapen, and they're all different shapes and sizes because of all the different planets they've visited. But that is movie Barricade.
Yeah, that's movie Barricade in a full Nelson.
Yeah, he's even got the little red and white police siren studs on his arm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we've got Starscream in there. We've got Venom. And
Is
Jazz.
it Venom?
It's Venom. But you see it on the next page.
I know he's orange and green, but I mean, is it Venom?
I'm pretty sure it's Venom. Page 19.
I know. I mean, I know you can see him, but is it Venom? He's orange and green, but he doesn't jump out as being Venom. It's like that other guy that Pounce's or Wingspan is fighting with down below. I mean, that's not anybody, is it?
Where?
But just same panel 19.
Oh, it's Drift.
Yeah, but it's not Drift.
No, it's not. It's obviously one of the Knights of Cybertron.
Yeah, but it's like he's not anybody, but he's in color.
Yeah, that's the odd one.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, maybe it's not Venom. Maybe he just happens to be green and orange. But that's Nick Roach's artwork. Makes you
I think that's the sort of character that James or John would have gone, that'll make for an interesting character. And again, I just love Nick's artwork here. Just the fun in the fighting. The fact you've got Barricade in a full Nelson. You've got Red Alert with someone in a headlock and he's punching him in the face. You've got Ravage just basically tearing across the top of everyone's heads and just wading into people.
See him back there.
And Metal Hawk makes himself a target and gets shot.
And he did it on purpose. That's my call.
I can believe it. Yep.
Yeah. And Prime spots it straight away and gets him inside. While High Command still tear into each other.
Yeah.
Bumblebee pointing his house canes straight at Rodimus. Rodimus just has had enough.
That cane is really pushing it.
And then we have this lovely moment. I'm warning you, if you and Drift take off, that's it. You're on your own. 2 outcasts, 2 robots going it alone. I'll go with you. As Magnus steps forward.
Accused of a crime they didn't commit.
Yeah. Prowl and Bumblebee are like, what?
What?
It's just Magnus. You could just say, "Go, well, we're not wanted here. Let's go."
Yeah, he's taking a really logical approach to it.
And then, as is pointed out, as Prowl starts to lose his cool, and everyone looks, it's just so well done. It means they've won. Won what, Prowl? This isn't a war. Well, it feels like one, and he proper goes off on one.
Yeah, he's losing it.
And the look on everyone's face as he does.
Prowl. Yeah. Why do you hate neutrals so much? Gif, what makes a man turn neutral?
And we find out that Prowl was a neutral.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting
you a question, for God's sakes.
up until now, Prowl has always been the one to be the non-emotional one, and here he's getting emotional. And that says a lot about says a lot about what's going on right now, like with all of the pressures that are coming from, their planet is completely not the way that they imagined it. It's gone down to nothing. They're going to have to rebuild everything. Everything's falling apart. I mean, it just kind of adds to, like, wow, you would expect Prowl not to be the one to fall apart. Yeah, he's the one that's falling apart, and you're like, oh gosh, wow.
That's how bad it is. The dark secret past of Prowl. He's never had to deal with neutrals in wartime.
No.
So he's been able to just hide it away.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's just this, basically we get in one panel we get his entire backstory of why he hates neutrals. He was one, he tried to escape, they got shut down, but he's glad they did.
That's 2 pages of a Mike Costa story.
At which point they find out Optimus is gone. Optimus has walked outside and basically said, I will leave. I had 2 speeches planned, one if we lost, one if we won the war, and I don't know which one to give you. So, you're all equal, but give the Autobots a chance, I'm off.
Well, not only that, is he says, I am the war. He's become the symbol of the war. I mean,
which is something that's been going on for the last couple of years, his feeling of being unable to adjust to peacetime.
Yeah.
Mm.
Awesome Soundwave with the messed up face.
Yeah.
He's still being rebuilt. Yay!
Chris, in that middle panel of the multiple faces, top right corner, obviously the one next to it's Noddy.
Yeah, I don't know. Looks like a generic. I don't know.
But everyone else is a character.
Well, Noddy's not.
Well, yes, but he's appeared a number of times in this.
Yeah, well, that might be the point. It's just that we have got some generics out there. He doesn't immediately make me think of anybody. He looks kind of ape-like, but I don't know if that's. No, I don't have an immediate answer for that one.
It's just a very weird choice of characters for this. Just I love the fact that you've got Zetka, you've got Metal Hawk, you've got Noddy, you've got this generic, and then right in the middle you've got Shockwave's one glowing eye.
Yes. Sumptuous.
And we end up with the closing scene of the book. Rodimus, Bumblebee, on the balcony of Kimia. No power. Everything's in darkness. They still haven't fully restored power.
They're really roughing it. They're really roughing it.
You got to hand it to Optimus. When it comes to making grand gestures, no one can touch him. And as we find out, basically, Bumblebee supports his idea and would have exiled him.
Bumblebee being leader, finally.
Yeah.
Stepped up.
I always thought there was merit in that idea 2 years ago, but his whole leadership was plagued by, like, his own miniseries was about driving home the fact that he was inexperienced and illustrating the lessons that he needed to learn in order to be leader, which he then systematically ignored. The conclusion of the Bumblebee miniseries was his systematic ignoring of the lessons that the narrative of the story was trying to teach him.
You've read it more than I have, then.
Yeah, well, no, that's just the one reading.
No, I've given up by then. My brain's switched off.
And then his leadership was just perpetually undermined by Optimus Prime just doing it anyway. And it's like, oh no, Bumblebee, you're leader. You're Megatron, you say. Well, okay, I guess I could come back this one time.
Yeah. And then, of course, in the build-up to Chaos, when he sidelines B by sticking him back on Earth while he goes and deals with Galvatron.
Yeah, I mean... And I don't think this was unfortunately, did not read as any kind of conscious decision as a storytelling. It's just the way it sort of unfolded. Because, like, in universe, certainly, it's believable that the other Autobots would rally around Prime when he came back. And the idea that, I mean, the whole point of Bumblebee was that he was voted in as leader as a popularity contest. And that was, like, that's not the right way to do it, like, but he won because he's the friendly, nice guy. He won the vote to be leader because of the qualities that make him immediately ill-suited to be leader. He's a friendly, chummy guy who's always the nice guy, and he won the popularity contest. And that, to me, like, observing that, acknowledging that fact, and working to force Bumblebee to make the decisions he would not normally have to make, was what the Bumblebee miniseries seemed like it was supposed to be about for the first 2 issues or so, but he was just like, more armor, that's what I need. That was the resolution to the Bumblebee miniseries. I'm gonna get some more armor, yeah! And it's like, what was the point of this miniseries?
To basically show that he wasn't ready.
Yeah, but not in the way that the narrative of the miniseries, you have a miniseries over to somebody to go, not yet, no.
Yeah,
you should be getting a character-driven miniseries for him to learn the lessons, not to drive home to the readership that he's not learning the lessons.
Yeah.
Anyway, we seem to be talking about a different comic.
Yes.
As has happened a number of times.
Yes, so Bumblebee learning lessons now.
Yes. And as we find, he's about to learn another one, because Rodimus is still going. Despite everything, Rodimus is going, and we descend back into the arguments. And again, it's Prime that breaks it up. But Prime silently walks up.
Doesn't say anything. I thought it was great.
Stops the argument by saying nothing. Hands over half the Matrix to each of them, and turns and walks away.
Oh, wait, I'm going to need that. No, I'm sorry.
And he leaves.
Yep.
I remember it well the day I died. It was the day I left Cybertron. This day, today. And basically, he's off. He's no longer in charge. He's no longer carrying the Matrix. He's no longer commanding an army. Optimus Prime is dead, and Orion Pax is reborn.
Yeah, he is. A metaphorical death of Optimus Prime. I always considered it a good, strong possibility when I heard the title of the comic, but I'm so pleased that that's what it did actually turn out to be.
And
also, with his leaving, I mean, this is it, it's like the first issue of the last big change in direction was Optimus going, see ya, and leaving leadership as well. But he actually basically just set up shop half a mile down the road. Was the big change in direction at the start of that. He is gone now. There's nobody there to undermine Bumblebee's leadership, not deliberately, but simply by his presence of existing. Rodimus is off soon as well. The one it's funny but Prime leaving means to me that this is Bumblebee's time to shine.
Yeah.
Rodimus already had his, because even if Prime had stayed, Rodimus would have done whatever the hell he wanted to anyway. This is Bumblebee's time now. You in his house.
Andy.
Yes.
22 pages of Barbara Roberts. Are you back on board?
I'm more hopeful for the future now. It was a much better comic than I thought it was going to be, so that was a big benefit at the very least.
Were you afraid that it was going to be an actual death, and you just thought that was another...
I was afraid it was going to be like the last issue. And the last issue, and the last 2 years of issues.
Different writers, man.
Yeah, but sometimes, people can get into a rut.
You got the fear in you.
No, I've got pessimism on my side.
Well, it's still a kind of fear.
Amy,
Yes.
we've been here. We've been here. We're 125. We're going forward from here. 2 different books. How's this for a setup issue?
Wow. I just have to say, wow. This, like I said, we've gone from point A to point M in one issue. And, golly, just getting to this last page, I feel completely gutted for Optimus Prime. I remember maybe it was a year and a half ago, I don't remember. I went on this long rant about how I didn't like how Optimus Prime gave up. And this suddenly makes it completely and totally irrelevant. And I'm just like, wow. My fellow Autobots think I have been made. I think I have been made the ultimate sacrifice, when in fact what I have done is uniquely selfish. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings, even me, and for the first time ever, I am free. I am responsible for no one. I am beholden to no one. It's even drawing upon some of the stuff that Roberts set up back in Chaos Theory.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
It's just like, wow. When I went on my rampage about how we don't know why Prime was quitting, now I get it. I completely and totally get it now.
You got zero introspection with Costa.
No, there wasn't
Characters
any.
just said what they were thinking.
Yeah.
They didn't say what they were feeling. They said what needed to be said to move things forward very slowly across 4 large panels with 1 speech bubble per panel. You didn't get introspective narrative captions. The one time we did was the Thundercracker issue, and it was great.
Or the Prowl stuff that he did, later.
Yeah, I mean, I like that stuff with Prowl later too.
Yeah,
I did.
I'm
not as hard on the last story on Earth as everyone else is.
But even this whole issue is nothing but introspection. I mean, it's all told from, Prime's point of view. He's watching everything, and he's seeing everything, and he's making decisions based on what he's seeing. But the whole point where the guys are fighting, and he's standing in the background saying nothing. He's not getting involved. He could have, but he didn't. But he's just taking it all in and seeing, what do I need to do now? Because I think he gets the point that, it's been a long ride for him. Now, I don't know, and I'm sure that we'll probably get more of it. We've gotten what Roberts has already kind of set up with the fact that, the burden of carrying the Matrix, and now he's free of that. But, you know, it's just the whole idea that, like, he made his decision, and we see the outcome at the very end, but you get the sense that he's been seeing this and taking it all in from, like, page 1 of this whole issue. And so it's like, he hasn't really explained any of that until now, where we go, wow. So he's been taking in everything that's happening, and this is the end result, because this is the decision he has made. And I just like, I like that. The fact that we got we got dialogue from him, but the introspection, you get it because you've seen the progression of it in one issue. So, I mean, he didn't have to go and tell us what he was thinking. We saw it. And then we get to the end and we get it and we're like, oh, wow. So I really like how this issue is, you know, in one issue, we've got Prime back and now he's gone again. And who knows where he's going to go. But I feel, you know, I'm like, wow. But it also set everything up. So it's like, it's just so seamless. Wow.
I'm sure they already have his return in the back of their heads as writers.
Probably.
You know? It's like 2 years from now when Rodimus Prime's team is out somewhere in the stars. They will come upon a planet that is at war, and they will join the rebel faction, and they'll be led through the corridors of their underground base, and they'll go into the main room. Here is our leader. What? It's Orion Pax. You know, it'll be that or something. Because, you know, there was a guy in comics once, I think his name was Peter Parker, and he said, I will do this no more, and he threw away his costume. And he said to himself, I don't have to do this no more. But with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And Prime's never going to be able to drop this.
Yeah. He's still Orion Paxson at his heart. He's still, you know, he's still who he is.
And when Megatron comes back, I mean, I'm always in favor of taking Prime and Megatron out of the running for a while. I think that was one of the smartest things Dreamwave ever did when they did their ongoing.
Yeah.
Feels a little less necessary for IDW, though, given how in and out those characters have been anyway. And whenever they've tried to take them off the map, they've never really gone off the map. You know, it's like Prime has left. He's still going to be in all the next 6 issues, though.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. Megatron is dead and exploded, but, you know, he's only been gone for one trade because there he's in a tank.
Well, Chris,
But this seems like they're out of it for a while now, and this is everyone else. This is Bumblebee's house.
Well, not only that is, you know, you bring up Megatron. He's been mentioned too. It says on this last page, Megatron is nothing without followers, and if Bumblebee and Metalhawk and the others can deliver on their promises, the Cybertronians will reject him as surely as they've rejected me. So it's like you almost have an out for that as well. That if they can unify, that Megatron will have no power because he is nothing without followers.
Then Megatron will start shooting things.
Chris, you mentioned Nick's artwork on Metalhawk. How do you feel that coming to Nick's work for, the first time in 19 issues on the ongoing?
How long has it been?
Issue 13, wasn't it? With
yeah, that was
the death of Rodimus.
Yeah.
How did you find the art?
I gotta tell you, Nick Roach can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. You know, he a couple of characters seem like they have slightly more exaggerated proportions than they normally would. Like Metalhawk does jump out at me, and it makes me interested. And Prime is very wasp-wasted. But, you know, Nick can't really do any wrong. It does come down for me with the colouring, though, I gotta say, because day or night, outside or inside, natural light or artificial, flashback or present day, everything, every single thing is in this immensely high contrast. One surface is bright and colourful, and the side facing away from the light is exceptionally dark. It's very two-tone, it's very high contrast, and I don't get why. It is like they're all under a UV light. Now, it's okay, like, it really works on, like, the first couple of pages, where Prime is out in the wilderness, and it's nighttime, visibly, and the only light source seems to be from these oozing pools of Primal Planet stuff, it's the harsh glare of metal is the only thing lighting up Prime, and then he's black, that looks good. But then he gets into a population center with artificial lights, and then he gets into the command center where everything is in a soft green glow, and yet everybody is still bathed in this really distractingly high contrast light. And it just really jumped out at me, and it didn't go away all the way through the issue. And I find it quite distracting, to be honest. And something else as well is that Burcham he's doing that thing I really hate, which is what I call lens flare eyes. And that was a Dreamwave invention. And some artists do it better than others. No, is it Priscilla or is it... No, who's been Joanna? She does it well because she draws the eyes quite. She colors the eyes quite bleached out, like they themselves are the light source, and you can't look quite at them. They're just quite blank, and it's just around the fringes, and it looks like it's really illuminating the face in the darkness, and the light is falling the way it should, and it's subtle, but far too many instances of it in this comic. It just looks like they've smeared blue makeup around their eyes. I'm not being funny. There's just some guys where their cheeks are just stained blue. It doesn't look like light. I've never been a fan of the idea anyway, even when Dreamwave was doing it works in panels for instance when Prime holds up the Matrix and his entire face is cast in darkness and he just has his two pinpricks of light for eyes shining out. That works. But then you have these really there's a really bad example of the first panel on page 13 is just where the comics fall in it, where it just looks like Pearl's he's just got big blue splotches on his cheeks. It doesn't look like light. And again, I've always disliked that, so I find it distracting when I see it. So yeah, it comes down for me on the coloring because I don't know what he's going for, but Roach can do no wrong so far as I'm concerned.
I've just noticed that, you talking about the lens flare, every shot of Optimus, he's got the lines going across, a single line going across his eyes.
None
of the others do.
Like Transfer out of Willy Fogg.
But
except in places where he's completely dark or he's all red because he's just a figure in the background watching all of the people.
Yeah, look at that. That's rubbish. That is so Dreamwave, And anything that reminds me of Dreamwave style it irks me,
Andy.
Yes.
Artwork.
Yes.
You were quite a fan of the art on Nick's last piece.
Yeah.
And as we said, if you didn't like Nick before, you weren't going to like him after that because it was him turned up to 11. How do you feel this one is?
Yeah, I still think Nick's still got the touch. Pardon the terrible Transformers pun.
He's got the power.
I didn't take it that far, but thank you, Chris.
He will love
Nick.
Hammer that joke home.
He will love you for that. Knowing how big a fan of Stan Bush that man is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's great. I want to believe that somewhere there is a room that Nick goes into that is just full of his own designs of every Transformer. Every Transformer ever created, he has done his own version, and he just goes and sits in this room on a chair and just looks at them all and goes, now how can I get that guy into a comic?
Zetka, for God's sakes.
Awesome.
But it's the certain design choices. I mean, we discussed it regarding Livio's work, that some of the design choices seem to clash. The fact that we had, we had the very G1 styled Swerve, for example, but then we had Don's designs for others and Nick's designs for others.
He was taking other people's designs and just drawing them in his style, whereas Nick is consolidating.
But we've even got War for Cybertron in there as well, for Soundwave and Starscream.
Yeah, that one caught me off guard. I was like, what's that all about? But
yeah, it works well, I'd say.
Yeah, totally.
But as we know as well from the cover of RID, we are going War for Cybertron designs, by the looks of it, on a lot of the Autobots. So
I kind of wish that wasn't happening.
Why would they have Earth modes?
It's not that. It's just another... I've said that.
Your issue with the redesign.
Symptomatic of just, hey, redesigns. And I also don't like giving more credence to War for Cybertron than it deserves. War for Cybertron was a mediocre game that was the best Transformers game ever.
It was more than mediocre, I would say.
Okay, it was a fine game.
There you go, that's better.
It was a fine video game that Transformers fans in the way the Transformers fans do, looked at it and went, I want toys of everything! I want that all! I want it! Hearts of Steel, yes, give it! No, War Within, yes, I want all those designs as toys! And they get a few token things, but it's like, again, it's the importance that's placed on these things. You know what? I was perfectly happy for 20 years to believe Optimus Prime just looked like a truck on Cybertron until the War Within came along and went, Cybertron modes for everyone! And I've griped before about the importance that a lot of Transformers comics tend to put on design over story. Now, I know that won't be the case here. I know it won't. I'm not worried about that. But it's like, there is something about giving that little extra credence to War for Cybertron that kind of bugs me, and I just don't think it deserves, you know? But, man, that's just me.
Silly Chris.
Yes, there is that possibility.
Amy, you're a massive fan of Nick's work. In fact, I'm going to pigeonhole this question so you can only answer yes or no, so you don't go on about it for too long. How do you find the visceral nature of it? I mean, I've just flicked to a page, for example, when Sideswipe is radioing Prowl after the explosion, and he's gouging a bot's eye out with his finger.
He is, isn't he? Jesus.
Nick's got a very visceral nature to it, and we've discussed it before that you wouldn't have given Last Stand of the Wreckers, for example, to your kids.
Yeah.
Do you feel that this, is this going to be representative of the new look? This quite, it is quite visceral. There's not much violence in it, but what there is there's some really nasty little moments in it. Do you think it could harm sales in terms of going to new people, or would you as a parent happily pick this up anyway just for the quality of the actual writing?
I would pick it up for I would let my kids see it. I mean, it's not too over the top.
I think the writing itself is probably just a little advanced for the younger reader.
There's that
same
too.
For Last Stand of the Wreckers.
Yeah. Well, and the endoscopic claw thing was just
that too.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think it would hurt sales. I mean, I know if it's just fans or whatnot. I mean, it's very, I would even say even teenagers would like this. So even I wouldn't say for like the younger kids. Like that's what I have the younger kids. So I don't know if they would definitely enjoy the Bumblebee Mini.
Oh, jeez.
Someone's got it. It needs a reason to exist, bless it.
Yeah.
Does it?
I don't think that this would hurt.
Yes, because it's not Heart of Darkness.
I wouldn't give Heart of Darkness to my kids. They wouldn't get it. They'd be like, huh?
Nobody got it.
This is terrible, Mom.
Wow, we're really bashing.
Why is it boring?
Why did you give me this?
Don't you love me?
Why do you hate me?
Buy me a Transformer, make it feel better.
No. He would basically say, "Can I watch Transformers Prime, Mommy?"
Oh dear me, poor child. But anyway, go on. Have your little love-in with Nick and Josh's art.
Yeah. I'm just sad that we're only get to see this another issue, and then we won't get to see him anymore because.
But I only about that the other day. I didn't pick up on that piece of news right away.
Oh, yeah, and I was on the IDW boards when you kind of mentioned it, so I was like, oh no!
I always had a sneaking suspicion. I had a suspicion that he wasn't going to be able to keep it up. Because he's never really been able to keep that regular schedule up. Nothing he's ever worked on. I'm not knocking him. I'm not sitting here knocking him or anything. But nothing that he's ever worked on for more than one issue has he not had to have help on. So I'm wondering. I mean, it's all best and whatever it is he's going on to next. But stay and draw some more Transformers for a while.
Yeah.
At least we know he has got covers. He is going to be staying in the ball game with the covers for the first story arc at least of Jones's run. So that's good news.
And to be fair, Alex Milne is a different artist now than he was at this time last year. And I would fully support his addition to the book, whereas at this time of last year I would have just been going, oh, what? Fuck off.
Wow.
Yes, you've changed your tone quite seriously, haven't you?
But I mean, I changed my tone seriously because he changed his art seriously. All due respect to that guy. Whenever he did that chapter of Revenge of the Decepticons, I had to look at the inside cover to see who was doing the art. I would have been able to tell an Alex Milne story at 6 paces beforehand. I didn't recognize him. The only, he improved his art dramatically by making it stopping look like he was drawing it.
Kind of a backhanded.
It's true, though. But I would never have thought him a good match for a really dense, script, like a James Roberts script, like a really dialogue-heavy, not particularly action-oriented James Roberts script, like the first part of Chaos Theory. But damn, no,
there was no doubt. He's really got really great perspective and technical skill. I knew that it was going to be awesome.
I mean, the strength of the script helps as well. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of those pages are laid out on the page. I mean, I don't know how Roberts writes a script. If he's a Bendis style where he does single out what pages, how many panels are going to be on a page and what's going to be in each panel, or if it's more of the way Furman and Wildman are going back to doing it for Regeneration 1, where it is he's given the basic idea and Wildman fills in all of the details. I would say that probably the strength of the script really helped him on that one, but he has really come along in leaps and bounds, and each successive piece of work that Alex Milne is putting out is his next best one.
Yeah.
So I do not have the reservations that I would have had a year ago with this news.
Cool.
Right, so before we close up with what's coming up, let's have final thoughts and a score out of 5, because it feels like ages since we've done one, even though it was only 2 weeks ago. But I just wasn't there. Amy, we'll start with you. Final score out of 5.
Oh, I'm going to get straight to the point just because there's just so much on here to love. I could go on and on and on like I did with Chaos Theory, but I'm not going to because I think this comic really kind of speaks for itself. There's just so much building, and like I said, it gets from point A to point M so quick that, and I don't feel like I've missed out on anything. So I'm really, really liking this, and I can't wait to read more. I mean, if this is what we're just getting in store of, I mean, I just like I said, I'm putty in the hands of the writers at this point because I 100% trust that they are going to give us something amazing just on one issue, the strength of one issue alone. So, I'm going to give this an absolute 4. I would give it a 5, but I've been told in the past that that I squee too much, that I need to pace myself, and I am at that point where I'm like, okay, I will pace myself. Then I think that this is a solid 4, and I think that there will be other issues in the future that will probably blow me out of the water even more than this one did. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go with a 4 on this one, and I am so happy and grateful to see James and John doing writing now. This just makes me very happy that the next year is going to be this. I'm happy for it. I welcome it, and I will pimp to everybody out there that if you're not reading the 2 ongoings, then you're missing out on a really good ride.
Chris.
I am gonna go with a 4 as well. I really want it to be a 5, but I just don't want to go that far yet because we're just at the start. It's got an unusual, fast-paced structure that you wouldn't want every issue to have. So I don't think and of course it's by the two writers as opposed to them individually. So it's not totally representative of what we can expect from one or the other ongoing series. It's still, as great and fast-paced and fast-moving as it is a bit exposition-heavy, with some good, introspective stuff creeping in later on between Bumblebee and Rodimus, and there's some stuff in Prowl, and there's a lot of exposition, and I guess it's a lot of exposition in the first half. The first half. The second half is some really, strong character stuff. It is characters that it's almost like they don't have room to start developing new guys yet because they kind of have to fix everything that was done to the other guys first. You know, it's guys who have had the spotlight for the last 2 years still keeping it because the potential of their being central characters was never actually lived up to over the course of the last few years. So this is putting paid to a lot of that. As I say, the high contrast coloring on it does distract me, and it kind of just sort of messes me up a little bit. But it's also got Ratbat, and that's a definite plus. It's got what might be Noddy in it, and it's just full of that's just weird. There's just a lot of interesting ideas, and you can really see it's very much a groundwork layer. You know, it doesn't stand on its own. You know, I would say that for something that's promoted as a one-shot, as of course it's really is an issue 0 starting everything that goes, and you do get the complete story of Optimus Prime in here. Yeah, I really want to give it a 5, but I'm going to hedge my bets and stick to a 4. But it's really as close to a 5 as I can give it without a 4. There's just a few little tiny things. It's just little tiny things. But it's the best Transformers comic we've had since Last Stand of the Wreckers.
Okay.
There's going to be some insane bastards out there who are going to hate it.
Yeah, there will. Yeah. But, oh well.
Speaking of which...
Lunatics.
Speaking of which, Andy?
What's up? You want my mark, yeah?
I want your final thoughts first.
My final thoughts were, it's been a long time since I've actually enjoyed a comic, a Transformers comic. It's nice to finally enjoy it again. I totally think the last issue you could totally skip and not miss anything and just move on to this one instead, and you'll be better off for it, and you'll have saved yourself some money. And got a much better story. I love the art. It's good artwork from my perspective. Story's good. I'm gonna give it a 4 because it didn't blow me out of the water. I know. Yeah, I told you I like it. If I think it's a good,
down.
Yeah. If I think it's a good comic, I'm gonna give it a 4. If I think it's a 5, it's gonna be something that's knocked my socks off. This hasn't knocked my socks off, but this is a really good comic. So I think it definitely deserves it. And this is a comic that doesn't feel like it's been a patch-up job for the rest of the series coming before it, which I've had issues with some of the Nick artwork and the James stuff before because they've been good, but they've had to fix a lot of the issues that the series has had. This one hasn't had to do that, which I appreciate, and it really benefits from not having to do that.
It's not so much patching them up as it is taking other writers' ideas and actually using them to their fullest extent.
I was using patch up because it sounds.
Oh yeah, like actually fixing Cup's story or doing better things with Pro or whatever. You know, actually patching holes in the continuity and making callbacks to things that nobody else was doing or explaining Cup's Saigar or whatever. But with this, it's not actually fixing mistakes or using. It's just actually going, that was not used to its fullest. There's a lot of potential there. Let's do it. You know, it's that sort of thing. Still very respectful of everything that's gone before it.
They just exploit the potential. Yeah. And that's what is really, after, like I said, the last 2 years, we've been doing ongoing since we started the Underbase. And just over the weekend, I listened I showed, because I was playing around with my Xbox, and you can get YouTube on your Xbox now, and I ran across an AA video, and it's just some of the stuff that we even said then. It's like, it's not that great, but plowing through. And
there is a lot of that, isn't there? We're blind yourself.
This is the first time in a long time that I'm like, wow. And I'm sorry to say this, but I kind of feel like we finally are reaching comics that are worthy of reviewing.
No, I don't think that's too far off, being right.
I mean, we're going to actually have stuff that we're like, there's going to be continuity things that they might actually do that are like, oh, I'm finally glad to see this happening. And maybe they could have done a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that. Just like, just the idea that we're getting to the point where we can actually see some really, some writing that is like really just pushing the edges of things. I think that we're going to see that. So I can't wait to review it. Let's just say that. I can't wait to review it. So,
Matt, What do you think?
Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
I'm really tempted to give it a 5 because, but I think that would be a reaction to the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And as Chris said throughout the review, this year, started for 6 months was good solid comics, and we just had just chaos that's really dragged everything down and dragged the whole feeling of it all down. So I'm not going to give it a 5. I am going to give it a 4. I don't have as many issues with it as others do. I don't think there's really any flaws with it. Colouring wise, I love the choice of palettes that Josh has done.
Oh, well, I would say that,
for different scenarios.
I do like the bright colors on it because, that's something that I feel that sometimes falls by the wayside. Again, it's a very Dreamwavy thing, but I do like the nice bright colors he's used. It's just the decision to cast everything in such a strange high contrast light, regardless of time, setting, location, light source, anything. It just puzzles me. That's the only.
Yeah, the one that really stands out is the High Command scene where everything's bathed in that sort of artificial orange glow. And it's just a very weird scene, breaking it up after, it's after the explosion. It knocks out the lights that they've got, and they've just got that last artificial glow. It's just very nicely done.
That's not a high contrast light, and yet everybody is, it's like they're under a blacklight. They're like they're in a rave.
Now that I would love to see.
But, it creates a kind of unearthly sort of pallor. I'm assuming that's the intention, and it works when they're out on the surface and you're under it's the dead of night and all you're lit by is the lava and the natural nasty phenomenon that are flaring around you, lightning in the sky. That works. It's whenever you're in a plaza with a bunch of spotlights just gently illuminating the whole place. But I'm getting hung up.
It does have its flaws. I'm trying to find them. I'm struggling. It's a waste of the last page. They could have got rid of Prime in a panel rather than having a full page to go. No, I'm picking on
What the hell are you talking about?
I was going to say, I can't find anything that I'd say needs to be better. I love the art and I love the coloring. Bring me more of it, man.
It's a fabulous comic.
Give me a year of this. I would gladly take that.
Yeah, this is a lovely issue that sets up beautifully for 2 ongoing series, which I think we can all be excited about as Transformers fans going forward. So, to it.
It's just the ultimate expression of the fact that it may take them a while, but IDW do actually listen and really put the 2 guys everybody wanted to see writing these comics on them.
Mm-hmm.
We always said, when we talked about John Barber's Movieverse comics, if you didn't like the Movieverse, they weren't going to change your mind. This, on the other hand, if you haven't liked the IDW G1 universe so far, this very well might change your mind.
It's doing it to me.
So the war is over. Now things get messy. Transformers More Than Meets the Eye #1. The crew of the Lost Light are about to get lost. As far as Rodimus was concerned, it was a foolproof plan. Commandeer a top-of-the-line starship, round up the crew of brave Autobot explorers, and set off in search of the Knights of Cybertron. So how exactly did he end up stranded on the wrong side of the galaxy, stuck on a ramshackle space freighter with a bunch of misfits, dropouts, oddballs, and eccentrics, battling against an increasingly hostile universe? Andy, it sounds like you got the fun one.
Yes. Yeah, I've got Jameson. One of the nicest mans on the planet.
The war is over. Now the hard part begins. Transformers Robot in Disguise #1. Cybertron will rise again. Bumblebee finds himself with his hands full as he tries to rebuild the Transformers homeworld. Faced with an increasingly violent population of Decepticons, an increasingly uneasy population of Autobots, and an increasing population of neutral bots, B is forced to make some hard choices. It all seemed like a good idea when he started off. Now it's a battle for survival in a world gone mad. Chris?
I'm looking forward to just seeing who gets what Decepticons and what characters go into each series. That's what I'm really looking forward to seeing.
I got the one with Ratbat.
It looks like you've got Ratbat, Metalhawk, and Bumblebee.
Yep.
Yeah.
You looks like you've got the hardcore, serious one.
That sounds like the one that was written for me.
Yeah, but you might rage if Metal Hawk's not done the way you want him to be.
I don't know. I'm not. It's not that I'm not open to new interpretations of the characters. It's
Atlas?
but that wasn't thought out. You know, that was a character that
It was a new idea, though. It was a different way to do him.
There wasn't any thought put into it. It was just, we need some kind of mystical, introspective one with swords. Japan, Atlas. He was Japanese and elite.
In fairness, you can contrast him to how he was in the OVA,
where he would cut your mother.
Yeah, and that's all he did. He was just another leader.
Well, that's all any Japanese Transformer leader has ever done, ever. You know, but it's like he was especially hardcore. He's a different kind of character to God Jinrai, or Star Saber. Well, I guess not that different to Star Saber. God, don't ever use Star Saber in anything IDW. He's so sad. No, I mean, I'm open to thoughtful ones and not ones where they just casually rip them and drop them in for the esoteric nature of using an obscure character like Atlas. Zetka has, never been in anything, so yeah, use that. I'm up for that. Let's see what you can do with a character who's never actually had this. Never mind the spotlight, who's barely existed before. Never mind, never had the spotlight before. Metal Hawk. Metal Hawk's had time over in the IDW comics this year, so this is another one of those strange conflations of where they both decided to use Iron Fist at the same time, and I hear they're both using Metal Hawk as well. So we'll see where that goes. Atlas just rubbed me the wrong way, but that may be more to do with the comic he was in than anything else. I'm all for it. Yeah, I just have more faith in John Barber as a writer than I ever did in Sean McCarthy. Let's put it that way.
So much
He's already proven himself.
So much so you didn't even want to give him his real name. It's Shane. Sean.
Well, that's his brother. It's his evil friend.
Wow.
Right, so here we are at the end of the Death of Optimus Prime, staring down the barrel of 2 ongoing series. Chris, Andy?
Yes.
Shake hands, go your separate ways. In 12 months we can come back together and you can argue about who's had the most fun. Thank you very much for joining us on these and agreeing to actually do the series with us as well.
Hopefully it's been worth the slog to get here. To this point when it gets good.
I've just been on to review good comics.
Well, bully for you.
Continues.
Bully for you.
As I've said to you guys before, at this point, if we don't like the comics, it's not the writer, it's not the artist, it's not the publisher, it's us. It's time to give up if we don't like these now.
Yeah.
Because the writers are good, the artists are good, and it's a franchise we like. If it ain't good now, I ain't reading no more comics, yo.
Yeah.
So, Amy, thank you very much as ever. I am glad you made it all the way through this podcast without hacking up a lung.
Oh, thank you. I don't have any hacking, but the pressure on my forehead has come and gone a couple times, so yeah. I did not want to review this comic like this, but you get what you get, right?
Damn right. We won't be back next week with a review. Keep an eye on the podcast for the Moonbase 2 Underbase Awards of 2011, which will go live on Christmas Day. A nice little Christmas present for you to all unwrap, where myself, Amy, Andy, Mikey and Dave basically rip the piss out of each other and don't agree on anything. And we will see you guys all in the new year when Chris and Andy and our other reviewing team come back together for what could be possibly the best years in Transformers comics.
Agreed.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. So thank you very much, guys. And we'll see you next time.
On the
What
Underbase.
the hell was that?
Yeah, I was going to say, and see you next time. Crash!
Whoa, yeah.
That was a magic gong.
In the meantime, we're having to fix all those. The stuff that just broke, right? The Underbase is broke, yo! We're not going to be back next week.
Base complete. Cease transmission.
So, Andy, you're going to surprise us by liking this comic.
Yeah, I am.
You are actually going to like it?
Yeah, because it's a good comic this time round for a change.
Oh,
How could you
awesome.
not like those? Well, you're a seething cauldron of hate most times anyway.
This is true. I did take lessons from you, Chris, when the 2 times I've met you at AA.
It just is osmosis.
Exactly. And, spending time around Jai, the hate oozes. Like a lovely cream that you'd put on your hands to make them silky smooth.
What you up to now anyway? Are you in gainful employment?
No, unfortunately not. I'm still searching for a job, and everybody's saying, would you come back later? And it's like, oh,
Aww.
great. Thank you.
That's the market.
It is, unfortunately, so I'm just hanging around and trying to find a job, and that's really about it, doing YouTube stuff, which gains me a little bit of money every now and again.
That's not too bad, I suppose. Are you enjoying the company of any fine ladies lately?
No.
Yeah.
Unfortunately not.
That was a crushing no. That was.
Yeah.
Well, I know that no all too well.
Yeah. It's like, hey, do you want to go out on a date? Yeah, but you're paying, bitch. Ah, I'm a fucking catch.
Oh my gosh!
Have you got a job? No, I'm a fucking man. Come on. Support me, woman. I'll clean the house.
I podcast.
I hella podcast.
It's too much podcasting to clean no house.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, do you know who I am?
If you don't, here's my card.
I still have your card in my wallet.
Good man.
I do hope you're recording this, Amy, because this is perfect for the
I
outtake.
did. I totally did.
Oh, there we go then.
Now everyone will know my depressing life.
I pulled my headphones in.
Yay.
Oh, thanks, guys.